So Coolermaster have sent me a set of Masterpulse Pro headphones to check out, and I wouldn't classify myself as an audiophile, but I do enjoy selecting choices for audio in terms of my headsets very much. I currently own about 5 different ones, and from about 7 years old, my dad used to force me to sit and listen to whole LPs at length so that I could, quote, appreciate them. I think this has certainly influenced my favourite music choices now, and I currently use different headphones for music, some for work and entertainment, and then of course gaming. This Masterpulse Pro currently retails for about £75. That's going to be about $85.95 US, so it's a mid-range headset. Are they worth that price? Well, as many of you will have heard me say before, that's a very subjective question, as we all place value on products differently. Essentially, what is any product worth to you? That depends on your personal situations. But I tested these for about 10 hours on a range of music, movies, gaming. Here's what I thought. Now, before we get into everything else, let's just do a very quick word on packaging, because I actually appreciate nicely designed packaging that's not like a massive pain in the ass to unbox. As you can see, these headphones were very easy to unpack. The headset itself has a very clean, minimal spot color aesthetic, which I like very much. The backlit logos either side of the panels give also a stylish look that you can customize via the inline control. This headset does have a good range of features. It's got powerful bass, a crisp high range. I did find in some situations that the bass could overpower a little in some of the lower mid ranges. They do have a built-in equalizer, so you're able to adjust profiles with just a click on the inline control, and that does help you to suit different audio demands. One thing this headset does very well is the 44mm drivers. They produce a well-rounded sound range, and if you like volume, you can push these quite hard. They're 50 ohm impedance, and when pushing them out to the max volume that I could tolerate, they were still clear. They felt like they could easily have taken a lot more, so no distortion or fuzziness. On the lower end, when the volume was very low or in quiet situations, the definition again, still clear, good separation between highs and lows. Now just again, some of those lower mid-ranges I felt were not quite where I wanted them to be, and that's just a bit of a repeating issue that I found. Coolermaster have on this headset what they refer to as Bass FX. Essentially, the side panels on the headset provide either a closed or open setup, which obviously affects the sound, giving a more open, bassy experience, or a closed and more balanced one. While the headset cancels out a lot of noise, it does also bleed some sound, so if you're sharing a room with others or recording, that's going to be something to be aware of. When testing the audio, I always use some high quality audio tracks that I keep downloaded from a range of different artists. Not to list everything, but I run a mix of acoustic, electronica, pop, so on. Stuff like Underworld, Boards of Canada, Sigur Rós, Kate Bush, Prince, Dire Straits. Some of those things I always run through there just because of their audio quality and the fantastic range of music that's going on there. The Masterpulse handles music really well, but again, it's still that bass that's extremely dominant to the point that it can sometimes, as I say, overpower a little bit of those subtleties. Keeping the side panels on does help to reduce that. For movies, the surround sound option in combination with the side panels off and the equalizer delivers excellent sound range. I had no real complaints. Skipping through a range of, again, movie scenes, things that I think test well, like the downtown shootout from Heat, great movies like Dread 2012, classics like Jaws, Alien, and I also tested shows like Band of Brothers and Pacific. Both of those have really exceptional audio fidelity. The headphones produced a good range of performance using the equalizer to suit the subject matter. So now gaming, which is the main event obviously for any gaming headset. I tested some core titles for me like Arma, Battlefield, Overwatch. Again, the theme of the headset is a clear, punchy bass which really hits through you when explosions are going off, especially when running Dyna sound in Arma with GBUs dropping. That really took the sound to your chest. It still retains the clarity though, the cracks and shots of gunfire, and more arcade titles like Battlefield, because that really lays onto you heavily the sounds of battle, so again there's a lot of background sound going on there. For gaming, it's a vibrant and powerful soundscape which those drivers deliver plentifully. They perform well across a variety of game genres, as you might hope. My only small criticism, yet again coming back to that powerful bass, it could potentially mask, as with the music, some of the audio triangulation needed to accurately pinpoint nearby enemy. That though leads me on to the virtual 7.1 surround sound. With this enabled, it really does improve the clarity. For games that support it, this would be the option to choose when you're looking for that improvement in accuracy in terms of feeling the location of enemy. As with other media, it's a case of finding the right balance for yourself, dependent on whatever you're listening to. This is helpful in that we all tend to have our own personal preferences when it comes to sound, so being able to tweak it more to your own liking at the click of a button is no bad thing. On the other hand, I'm sure some people will feel they might prefer a headset which doesn't require any tweaking and just does a good job all around. That's a valid point of view, as this is all subjective. I will now make mention of the microphone, which is unusually built into the headset cup itself, and it appears just as a single dot, not dissimilar to what you might have with your smartphone. Now, gaming headsets have generally quite poor microphones, and I'm sad to say that this is also the case. Here, if you were gaming on a console, this might pass, but for PC where you're sitting at a desktop, there is really nothing that's going to come close to even your average condenser microphone. And this is disappointing, but it's certainly not unusual for gaming headsets. The open band design of the headset would work very well also with VR units, and this may be a personal consideration when getting a new headset this year as VR starts to become more prevalent, more games implementing this feature, and you've still got things like Star Citizen on the horizon, but even some FPS features I think are going to move in that direction, and you've got things like Armor as well. I very much imagine that when we have sort of more things like this coming along, you might have, instead of using Track IR, actually using VR. So choosing a headset which might work better with a VR headset is, I think, going to be an option. The build quality of this headset, it's really solid. The floating headband is aluminium, not plastic, and it's well finished. The padded headband is really comfortable and uses wire cables through the band. It's firm and it's flexible, and it should adapt well to whatever your requirements. The headset was comfortable to wear for an extended period of time. As I said, I wore it for about 10 hours. Now, they're not as lightweight as my Cloud 2s, but they're certainly not heavy either compared to something like my HE500s, which can actually give some soreness in the neck with extended use because they're so heavy. The side plates are also aluminium, and the cable is a non-tangle variety. This is actually a big plus. Some of my other cables, despite my best efforts, do often end up with kinks that need twisting out, and not having to do that is always going to be a plus. I've owned gaming headsets in the past with plastic bands or generally poorer quality casing. You can feel just from taking it out of the box that the Masterpulse Pro is well built with materials that are going to deal with an extended usage. I wore these, as I say, 10 hours straight working, gaming today. I didn't find them to become weighty or uncomfortable. The only gripe I would have is that I wish they came with the soft velour pads as well as leather. I find that felt or velour pads are not only more comfortable, but they can actually make a significant difference to sound. Some audiophile reviews of headphones often swear by making this change, and I would be inclined to agree because I've changed it out on some of my own headsets already, and it does make a big difference there. So this would be a requested option, even if it's an additional extra to purchase, because that's not available right now. I'd like them to see, include that for the future, and potentially even box it with two options so that you can change it out. Whilst we're talking about optional extras, they also have the ability to, even if you believe, 3D print the side panels. So if you wanted to have some kind of 3D printing going on there's been some options that I've seen online, looked it up, people are getting really creative. Again, aesthetics are never a really big thing that I push, but if it's something that you really love and want to get into, that option's there, which is pretty unusual when it comes to these kind of headsets. So if that was something you liked, then you can go for that. So overall, I would say this is a quality built mid-range gaming headset. It delivers a lot of power and a lot of bass, and if that's what you're looking for in a gaming headset along with the stylish aesthetic, then these deliver on those promises. As always though, as I've said, a headset is hugely subjective, and in regards, I personally find the power at the bass myself to be a little too high. I prefer it to be scaled back so as to hear more definition. You do have the option of using the equalizer on the inline controls, and that does work well to customize and find that sweet spot, but I would prefer, instead of having to jump around between these settings, the overall audio was just a bit more smoothly balanced and didn't require that kind of refinement. This has been my look at the Coolermaster Masterpulse Pro gaming headset.